The easiest way to get more views and make more money here on YouTube is by creating your thumbnails just like I'm gonna show you here in this video. And in this video, not only am I gonna show you why they're so important and how to create them, but I'm also gonna show you how you can kind of systematize the way that you create your thumbnails so that you come out with these banger thumbnails every single time and they don't really take a lot of work. And if that sounds good to you, then stick around for the entire video so you can learn these tricks so you too can start making more money here on YouTube, because money is fire and videos, there are lighters.
So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter.
What's up guys, Augie Johnston here with vidchops.com, where we allow you to add an expert video editor to your team so you never have to edit again. So if that sounds good to you, head over to vidchops.com, and my guess is you're here watching this video because you're a video creator, and this channel here is dedicated to helping you guys create more videos and better videos. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now if you are a video creator so you don't miss a video. Did you know that thumbnails are one of the most important factors in whether your video takes off and gets a bunch of views, or whether it just sits there on your channel without any views at all? And I've even heard video marketing experts say that the thumbnail is actually just as important as the content that's in your video.
What?
And I've even heard some of them say that they spend as much time on creating a thumbnail as they do on actually recording their video.
That's crazy talk.
I know it's kind of crazy, so let's talk a little bit about why you need amazing thumbnails. Well, really there are three main factors on YouTube, three metrics that you can analyze and monitor that really can tell you if a video is gonna take off on YouTube and have the YouTube algorithm promote it all over and have it get ranked on search. And those three metrics are click-through rate, average view duration, and the overall watch time of a video. Now this video isn't about YouTube analytics and metrics and that kind of stuff, so I'll just give you a quick rundown of what each of those really mean. So the first one, click-through rate, that's the one that we're gonna be talking about in this video. And all click-through rate is the number of people that have seen your thumbnail. That's called an impression, where YouTube actually shows your thumbnail on the screen, whether it's the home page or in a search or anywhere like that. Those are all impressions. The number of people that saw your thumbnail and the percentage of those people that actually clicked on your thumbnail. So for example, if YouTube served that thumbnail up to 100 different people on YouTube and 10 people clicked on it that saw it, well, that would be a 10% click-through rate. And so that's what this video is all about. How do we get that click-through rate up? How do we increase that click-through rate? And it makes perfect sense that increasing your click-through rate would get you more views, because if that thumbnail does get served to, let's say 100 people, and you only have a 1% click-through rate, you're only gonna get one view. And as you can imagine, the higher your click-through rate, the more views you're gonna get right off the bat, just because more people are clicking on your thumbnail. The next metric that's super important that we're not gonna dive deep into this video is average view duration. So people that do click on your video, what's the average view duration that they're watching your video? If it's a 10-minute video and people are watching 5 minutes of it, that's a 50% view duration. And the last important metric that I'm gonna talk about is overall watch time, and that's exactly how many minutes that video has been watched by all people. Now this isn't on an average, this isn't 50% of the video was watched. This is the total amount of minutes or hours that video has been watched. And if you can increase that number as much as you can, then that's gonna tell YouTube that, hey, this is a good video, people are watching it, it has a high overall watch time, and not only is that gonna help that video get promoted, but it's also gonna bring more authority to your channel. And that is the third and final metric that's super important. Now, okay, let's go ahead and jump back into the thumbnails and talk more about thumbnails. So those are the three most important metrics. The first one we talked about was CTR, or click-through rate, and that brings up the question, okay, well how do we improve and increase our click-through rate so that we get more views? And also why? Why do we need it, besides the fact that more people will click on your video? Well, if you have a high click-through rate, not only are more people clicking, but it's also gonna tell the algorithm that, hey, look, people are interested in this topic. People are clicking on this video when we serve it to them, which in turn is, getting YouTube more ad revenue, keeping people on the platform, and overall just making YouTube a better user experience because they are serving content to people that actually want it. And you can kind of see how those three metrics could work together as far as you need good click-through rate so people click it. You got to keep people watching for long periods of time with good content. And all in all, those things combined are really going to allow you to trigger the algorithm and have YouTube promote that video out. Okay, so that's why. Now let's talk about how. This is what you're here for. How do you get those good click-through rates? How do you do that so that you get more views? And let's go ahead and dive into that. The first tip that I have for you is to use bright colors. If you scroll through YouTube, you're gonna find that most people have figured this out and their thumbnails are bright and they contrast with each other. So make sure you're including a lot of bright colors. The next tip I have for you is to include your face or someone's face. I mean, people, they connect with people. They're not looking to click on a toaster. They're looking to click on somebody doing something in their thumbnail. So try to include a face, and you want that face to have a lot of emotion because emotion is gonna draw people's attention in. So when it comes to different kinds of emotions that you should show on your thumbnails, well, you can kind of just go back to the 6 basic human emotions that people show. And those emotions would be sadness, happiness, fear, anger, disgust, and my favorite is surprise. If you can combine those emotions with the topic of your video and add a little bit of action, then you're gonna have an amazing thumbnail. So what do I mean by action? Well, there's a lot of different things you could do for action. Some ideas are pointing, yelling, or maybe even holding a prop. And the last little thing about including your face on your thumbnails is you want to make sure that your face and your body is on there real big. Okay, you want that thumbnail to stand out because they see a big face on top of there screaming at the top of their lungs or something like that. That's gonna help you out rather than showing like a full body photo of someone. And the next tip I have on creating great thumbnails is to include text. Now, some people disagree with this, but from what I've found, text is a great way to help create curiosity. So a few things to keep in mind when you're adding this text is make sure that it's readable, and you want to try to use contrasting colors. If you have a darker or colored background, you'd want to use white text. I also recommend that with your text you add stroke or like an outline to your text to help it pop off the screen a little bit, as well as maybe a little bit of drop shadow as well. But like I said, readability is super important here, and sometimes people are watching videos on their iPhone where the thumbnails are much smaller, so make sure that your text is not too small and that it's not too lengthy and that it just gets right to the point and does the most important thing like I mentioned already, and that's create curiosity. So if I made a video about maybe, top 10 YouTube tips for architects, I don't want to include text on my thumbnail that says YouTube tips for architects. That would not create curiosity in my thumbnail. Instead, I might include something like architect quits his day job for YouTube. That would actually create a little bit more curiosity in someone when they saw that, like, wow, that guy was actually able to do that. I would like to learn myself how to do that, so I'm gonna go ahead and click that video. Okay, so if you're gonna take anything away from this video, take this away. Your thumbnails, they need to have, number 1, bright colors. Number 2, a big old face with a lot of emotion and maybe even some action. And third, they need to have text. Now, all these things need to work together for one goal, and that's to create curiosity. So if your thumbnail can create curiosity without text, then great, you're probably good without text. If it can't, then you need to use that text to create that curiosity on the thumbnail. Okay, you guys, do not leave yet, because I actually now want to show you the system that I use to create thumbnails very, very easily. And yes, it is a system that saves me a ton of time, energy, and it's actually a really cool thing. Okay, so before you sit down to even shoot your first YouTube video, I recommend that you take an iPhone or take any kind of camera you have and go and snap some photos. Just like I said before, you want to take these photos of yourself with all of these different emotions, whether you're surprised or angry or whatever, and you want to make sure that for each of these emotions that you add some that have some action too. So I might be, angry in one photo, and then the next photo I might be angry and pointing, or I might be angry and holding a prop, and do those kind of things. Maybe 20 different photos that you can use throughout your YouTube videos on your thumbnails. And once you have those photos taken, all you really need to do next is remove the background. Now, there's a few different tools you can do to do that. You can outsource it to Fiverr for literally like $5 or $10 for up to 20 photos. or you can just do it yourself using some software like Photoshop, or there's actually a really cool tool called remove.bg where you just upload your photos there and it'll automatically remove the background. And now that you have all these transparent images, you need to find some backgrounds to use for your thumbnails. So you can use some stock photos from like unsplash.com, or you can find photos anywhere really on the internet as long as you have rights to them, and you can use those as the backgrounds to your thumbnails with a few extra steps. So I use Photoshop to edit my thumbnails, and so what you're gonna need to do is change the hue and saturation of that photo so that it actually can have that bright color that we're going for. So you go up to image, I think you scroll down to adjustments, hue and saturation, and that's going to allow you to bring up like a color wheel and that kind of stuff. And I like to click on that colorize button. I click on that button, it turns everything into one color, one tinted color, and you can, adjust the darkness and the saturation a little bit to get the look that you're going for. I also like to spice up my thumbnails by adding cool little overlays and that kind of stuff to my images. So I get those from freepick.com, and you can go over and get a couple yourself to overlay that. And those are just gonna improve the overall look, just make it look a little bit more like a professional graphic designer created that thumbnail. And there's so many different kinds of software out there that you guys can use to create your thumbnails. A few examples are Photoshop or Canva, or one that I personally like, which is like a web-based version of Photoshop, and that's called photop.com. It's a free tool, and you can do most of the things that you can do in Photoshop right there on the web. And kind of the last little step that I like to do is I like to add stroke around the subject that's on the thumbnail, just to kind of give it that YouTube look. So alright guys, I hope you guys liked that video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and why not check out another one of my videos. This channel is all about helping video creators create more videos and better videos. So go ahead, click that link right now, check out that video, and I will see you guys in the next one.